We are, I think it's live. Yep, we're live. So now you can hit.
Okay, it said connect streaming software. So that should be okay. Oh, I
It's
think it's
gonna take a second.
yay! Okay. Look at this technology at its finest.
I know, I'm like real excited about this software. So
Me too. Okay, so
geeking out over it as much as I am. Oh, all right. I want to make sure those comments I can see. We're just like getting set up real quick, and then, all right. Are we ready to dive in?
yeah, well, you want to wait a minute for
People to join?
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I figure we can dive in since it'll be live.
Well, yeah, so it'll be saved on YouTube and Instagram so people can go back and watch whatever they missed. And yeah.
This is a new software we're using. So will the live comments come up on the StreamYard? Does it merge it?
So the StreamYard ones will be YouTube, and then you'll see like on your Instagram page that there's like you can see who's joining on Instagram and commenting on that end.
Got it.
So it'll be a little back and forth. You're not fully integrated. So I think maybe like one more minute, and then we'll start diving into the full moon magic.
Coming up. Hello. Our friend that just joined, BHRT. Hi, Gary.
Do you have something going on in the background on your thing?
Yeah, is it too loud? It's a little, I've got some sacral energy sound healing.
Oh, okay. No, it was making like a odd little buzzing noise. So I was trying to figure out if it was like feedback noise or if it was something going on.
I'll turn it off.
Okay.
Thought everybody could use a little sacral chakra balancing while they wait.
Yeah. No, I wish the sound came through better for some of that stuff because like I have like singing bowls and stuff, and it's like but playing it on here live is like not always the greatest. It doesn't come through like it should.
I know.
Yeah. All right. I think let's go ahead and start diving in.
Sounds good. Take it away.
Oh, I get to take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are here live today, me and Laura, to dive into using the full moon, how we use it with not only our cycle, but to manifest and really go chase after our deepest desires, our destiny, and like what we can do to make sure we're utilizing the moon's energy to its fullest potential, because there's going to be good times and bad times to try and manifest on the moon, and that also relates to your cycle as a woman. And so yeah, we're going to dive into that today. Make sure to post any questions or comments in the comments section. And yeah, and I am Rebecca, and I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner and yoga instructor that focuses on women's hormones and helping them heal so that they can go chase those dreams of theirs that they've always wanted to embark on.
And I'm Laura Price, and I am a spiritual healer and goddess activation coach. Goddess activation is radical self-love. It is merging sexuality with spirituality in a pure lifestyle, channeling that inner Cleopatra. It's really about prioritizing self-love, but also balancing that with giving to the community. And gratitude is a huge component, which we will also get into today. That is one of the secret keys of really, really calling your manifestations in, is to have the gratitude practice to go along with it. Because, you know, like anything, you can't just ask for what you want without being grateful for what you already have. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about how to use the gratitude practice to also manifest, because when you're grateful for something, you receive more of it. So you can do a little 2-in-1 by thanking the universe, for things like material items, Gucci bags, and they'll might bring you another one. Or, things like love, your good health. The more grateful you are, the more likely you are to receive more of that. So we will get into that gratitude practice a little bit later. I will let Rebecca dive into why your cycle matters, why that will affect your manifestations, and how to get balanced before you start that practice.
All right, so I will go ahead and dive into that. So the very basics is the moon cycle is 28 days and the female cycle is roughly 28 days as well. And so we are cycling with the moon. You're either cycling with the full moon or you're cycling with the new moon, which means you're either bleeding on the full moon or ovulating on the full moon. And if you're not doing it on the full moon, you're doing it on the new moon, or within 3 to 5 days of that full or new moon. And so when you are bleeding during the full moon, it is seen that you are like a healer in this world, a wise woman. You offer support to your community and guide them in different ways. Which also means like if you're this healer type, that your intuition is going to be a lot higher, your creativity is going to be higher, you're going to be a lot more connected to your emotions, and also like feel your emotions on a really deep level compared to people that are bleeding on the new moon. And also bleeding on the full moon is like symbolizing that you're in a process of releasing old energies and making space for renewal. And if you're bleeding on the full moon, you're actually not going to manifest on the full moon. You'll wait until the new moon when you're ovulating to really set those intentions. It's not that like you're not doing any manifestation work because you're on your period, but it's not the greatest time to really be like planting seeds that you want to grow, right? Because ovulation is when you release the egg and things grow. So that's when you really want to focus on the manifestation aspect. So if you're bleeding on the full moon, it's more of a time of reflection to get really clear on like, this is what I want, this is why I want it. Like start getting really clear and releasing anything that's in the way. So that way when the new moon shows up, you're like, bam, I can freaking do the work, especially what Laura's going to share on activation and gratitude to get what you want. Is there any questions on that or anything? I don't see any. So I will dive into just like, so now if you're ovulating on the full moon, this means like, so the full moon is very full, the water is being pulled to the full moon. So you're very full and you're very fertile. You're very open to like doing the manifestation work at that time, and for it to like be the seed to be planted and to actually grow. And it's like, because when you're ovulating, that's when your energy is the highest. That's when you're like most like, I got this. You feel in the flow, like everything's just like going and moving, and you have all the energy to do it. And that's like what the full moon is all about for you, is that it's full and it's time to like embrace your fullness. And so if you ovulate on the full moon, this is definitely like, in the next couple days, because the full moon is on Monday, you're going to want to use all of these practices that we're going to teach you to really start manifesting what you're trying to get out of life. And so that's just like the science of like your cycle and the moon. And I guess like if there's an imbalance of some kind, then that's where you really need to focus on like clearing out the body first, right? I'd actually just made a whole video about this. It's like you have to focus on your body first before you can get deeper into like, you know, your spiritual body and your bliss body and all of that. Because if your body is out of line, then like nothing else is going to be, you can do all the work that you want to do, but like there's too many blockages physically to get into those other realms.
How would somebody know that they have a blockage? Like, what are some of the signs? Because you and I have talked about this before, about how so often women, we just chalk it up to, I didn't feel good that day, or, you know, that is what it is, and I just deal with it. But what are some of the signs to look out for?
So, like, some of the signs for blockages are going to be like your period's not regular, you're not ovulating every month. You can either tell this by like your cervical mucus or, you know, using the pee sticks they sell at the store. And then you have like heavy painful periods, you've got like severe mood swings or acne going on. Some other things that aren't like necessarily always cycle related is just like those phantom pains. You know, it's like your shoulders always like hurting, or like you're starting to like cave in because you're physically protecting your heart that like needs to be opened. So just like looking at your posture and like, how do you sit? Like, do you sit really caved over to protect yourself? Like, what are you protecting yourself from? So like there's something in your body that's like, it's probably an emotion it's holding on to, and now it's shown itself physically. That's going to pop up, and that's going to be your sign. It's like you don't, or like you have a bunch of fatigue and you're like, I don't know why I'm so tired. Like, I'm just always tired. Like, I get enough sleep, I eat well, but I'm just tired. Or being bloated or having different digestive issues. It's like basically just feeling like there's something off and not being able to like go through the day without having something uncomfortable pop up is going to be the main sign that like your body needs some work before you can really dive into, you know, the other layers of your body, the mental, spiritual, bliss body, like the more, you know, what's the freaking word? The things you can't see, you know, it's like the body you can see, but the other stuff is like more invisible.
Your energy. If your energy's off, you won't be able to visualize, you won't be able to embody the energy that you're looking to attract, and you'll end up attracting a bunch more negative things that we don't want. Yeah. So it's so important to balance those hormones and balance your cycle before you delve into manifesting, so that you don't call in more negativity.
Yeah. And if you can like take a minute and like look at the cycles of your life, like, you know, like, do you end up dating like, you know, looks like a good guy and then into a dirt bag, and it's like the same type of guy, just a different physical person, you know?
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's obviously like something going on there where you keep calling in the same thing because you're not like aligned, right? So going back to like your physical body first and always starting there, and then once you're like, okay, this is good, you can start moving into the other aspects and doing the deeper work. And what I always tell people too is like, as you work on the physical body, the other stuff is going to naturally get better, because if your physical body's in alignment, you're not going to be depressed. You're not going to be anxious. Like, you might still have a little anxiety left because you have some stuff to work, like trauma work to do. But the more you clear all the channels through your diet, your lifestyle, your movement, you know, yoga, acupuncture, all these different modalities, the less like you're going to have problems in that mental sphere. And then you can really dive into what you're going to talk about more, is like the spiritual aspect of things.
Right. Yeah. Releasing that trauma through orgasm, releasing those emotions through orgasm. That's all sacral chakra, is your feminine energy. It's your emotions. So that's where we want to get into and release any of that negativity or just things that have festered and you've been holding on to that are tend to block the new beautiful energy the universe wants to bring in for you.
Yeah. And what I find is like the longer you hold on to those things, the more it manifests into the physical world. If you are somebody where you can brush it off a lot sooner, it's not going to show up as a physical problem, whether that's like, you know, phantom pains, period problems, or any other health issues. it will just move through you more quickly. But if you're somebody that constantly like has to hold the grudge and has to hold on to things,
does not serve you. It can show up as
it's going to
disease.
show up as something. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Your body bears the brunt of it, so let it go. That's one of the best lessons. That's such a good New Year lesson too, is letting it go. It's a difficult one, but it's always brings a positive result. Like the universe cannot bring you anything new and positive if you're still holding on to the old energy. If you're holding on to the old dirt bag, they cannot bring you a new love of your life. Like it just will not work that way. So you have to let something go to let something else come in. And that's so important.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's like, you also have to like, not just jump from one thing to the next. Like you got to sit by yourself and be in silence for a while. Like that's just the reality of it. And it's uncomfortable. It's not always enjoyable to that. But if you don't go through like the not so fun part, you're just going to be like on this endless spiral of doing the same shit over and over again. And you're not going to be able to manifest what you actually want deep down.
Yeah.
So like working through all of that, whether it's like, you know, doing yoga, meditating, breath work, all of that stuff, like during the full moon, great breath work if you're not on your period. So basically, if you're on your period during the full moon, just take all of this advice and use it for
on the new moon. Yeah.
But so like if you're ovulating during the full moon, you can do the breath of fire, which is like a very rapid, energizing breath, called in yoga Sanskrit, it's called Kalabadi breath. And that just like gets all of your energy really high and really like moving. So that's something really good you can do. You can also do like the yoga squat, so malasana, and connect your source of creation, your pussy, to the earth as close as possible.
We can say because it's live.
I just started reading this book and it was like, stop calling it a vagina or this or that. It's not even the right
kitty,
word.
it's a flower.
Call it what it is. It's a pussy and it's powerful, and use the right terminology. And I was like, I can get behind that. All right.
Somebody tell Instagram and YouTube that so they'll stop censoring things. It's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful thing. It is. It's so powerful. It is so very powerful. And both of those suggestions, the breath of fire and Kundalini yoga, and the goddess squats, are excellent if you need a little bit of a warm up for your orgasm practice, because a lot of times women, and I'll touch a little bit on this later, wait till they're in the mood. And if you wait for your body to give you that tingle, is way past time. So you have to practice it. Like, you know, you think of brushing as you do your hair, do your makeup, brush your teeth, take care of your sacral energy as well. Take care of your pussy and please her, give her love. It's the ultimate form of self-love. But if you are stressed out, there's a lot of other factors, you know, in your environment that can play a role to make you not feel like it. But those are really two great practices that I recommend all the time as like a little warm up. If it's just 10 minutes Kundalini, 10-minute breath of fire, 10-minute breath of fire would be a lot. 3-minute breath of fire, and do some goddess squats, some forward folds, or some is another really good practice. I also have some playlists, but I'll talk about that later. But so all of it ties together, and all of the pieces are necessary for success. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I love the back and forth, because sometimes when I'm just like going, I'm like,
hello, me too, because we can go. We can go.
So yeah. But and then like I guess like the last thing is like getting out into nature. Like I was just telling Laura before we started, if I could, I would just live in the forest with the trees and like, be totally satisfied.
People.
But you have to like get outside, right? So like all these people tell you to go get morning sunlight for this first 30 minutes of waking up. Well, when the moon is full, go outside and just like soak in the moonlight. If you can, get completely naked and enjoy the moonlight. I know right now it's like 8 degrees here in the evening, so I won't be getting naked in 8-degree weather. But during the warmer months, doing that and just getting outside and like soaking in the moonlight is really good, like for balancing your hormones, but balancing your circadian rhythm and like connecting back to nature. And at that time too, it's like you can go out there and like say a prayer to the moon, like give thanks to the moon, like all these things, right? Because the moon is doing a lot more than just like circling the earth and giving us something pretty to look at every once in a while.
It's so funny because I think we think of the moon and tides and how much it affects the earth, but we rarely talk about how much it actually affects the human body. I mean, we're 98% water. And so it's really, to not consider it as you consider your daily life is silly to me.
Well, yeah, and like I guess growing up, my mom's like very superstitious woman, like carries salt in the car type of thing, and and so like she won't go out she does not leave the house any full moon ever.
I used to be afraid of the moon when I was little.
She's like, so she goes out in her own yard and stuff, but as far as like going out, she's like, I don't know, people are just full of
they are,
and it's like because the water and the difference. Yeah, it's the emotions and the fullness and all of that are really affecting you during that.
They're not releasing it in positive ways. They're not channeling, like the water energy is your sexual energy. They're not channeling that into positive ways. But yeah, I do. I notice it too. I go out, but I use my intuitive guidance for protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. It's very real.
Like, yeah. Well, and it's funny that you bring up they're like not using their sexual energy properly, because it's like I feel like that's all of the America, and it might be more than America, because we're just like taught not to talk about those things and like to shame it and to be like, oh, that's awful and blah blah, like you can't be out, talking about
icky or dirty. Yeah,
I can't tell you how many people in my family are like, you literally talk about pussies and like pooping all the time. Like those are basically the two topics I am always talking about. It's always
our bodily functions. It's like everybody's doing it or they want to be doing it. And if you're not loving yourself, you're not going to be able to have a quality partnership, because if you don't know how to do it, how can you expect somebody else to? And if you don't carve out the time to give yourself that love, why would you expect that from somebody else? And how can you expect to have the energy to love somebody else? So I think it's something I preach. If we should have learned it when we were teenagers, that to love ourselves first, and that it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with talking about it. Everybody should be doing it. If they're not doing it, that's when you get solar plexus issues and jealousy pops up. And again, it's a great way to heal sexual trauma, emotional trauma. It's very, very necessary to love yourself. And that self-pleasure, it's the ultimate self-love. I think people think of it like, oh, that's a sex addiction, or that's, devil energy. And it's absolutely not. It's love. It's the ultimate form of love, is orgasm. And that's what we're here to experience. And orgasm, I say this all the time, is your highest frequency. So that is what you want when you manifest. So that's the best time. Full moon, orgasmic meditation, manifestation, and watch how quickly the universe can work.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't satisfy yourself in all ways, and that just means you're seeking it from somebody else, and now you are dependent on them. So it's like it's a form of codependency when you can't like give yourself everything that you need without assistance from somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like, once you don't need the other person and you're not codependent on like being satisfied and reaching those high vibes, it's like the most powerful thing. There
deal with any toxic bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Yeah. There's no need to deal with anybody being less than balanced and joyful and positive and a positive influence. There's no toxic energy, because what do you need that for? You don't need that person for anything. You can fulfill yourself. And I think it's a hard thing, but and you had a great video that recently about being alone and like having
No, yeah, I made a reel about. I went out to lunch. Yeah. I do a lot. I mean, I like being alone, so I do a lot of things on my own. But for a long time, I had no idea how to be.
Me too. Same. I had no idea. Hated it. I was so scared of it.
yeah, I had to be with my partner. Like if he didn't want to do it, then I guess I wasn't going to do it. But then I was miserable and I was a raging bitch because I didn't get to go do what I wanted to do because he didn't want to do it. And it's like, well, you could have just went and done it on your own.
Right. But
like, yeah.
Women, some of my clients, I don't have a hard time with that. I was like, I don't have time is the biggest thing that I hear about finding time to orgasm. And it's like, you have to make the time because it balances your emotions. And once you build that practice, you will never do without, but you don't need coffee. You don't have, it's so important. But again, and I think the other thing that I hear too, when they're in a partnership, kids get in the way, but it's really just about adjusting your schedule, taking that me time, whether it's, early in the morning. That's something I wanted to talk about too, is timing for manifestation is really important. So the full moon, but also there's this little 48-minute hour every morning called the Brahma Murta, and it's the creator's hour. And this is the absolute best time. So it's different. It's slightly different every day. It's like 5:45 to 6:30. Sometimes it varies. Like right now it's winter, so it's in the dark. But that's the time when the energy is the most pure. It's the best time to focus on your goals, that's what we want to manifest, right? And so I highly recommend to everybody to carve out that as your time. Because a lot of times if we say, okay, my self-love time is going to be at night, you're too tired or something else pops up that delays you and then you end up not doing it. So if ideally you should be pleasuring yourself 2 times a day, like you brush your teeth, like it's a healthful, hygienic practice. And that's nothing sexy about that, but it is taking care of your body. It's balancing your chakras. It's cleaning your body, balancing your energy. And when you do that, you will notice a huge difference. But if you can only do it, you can only try and carve the time out. At one point, I say, get up earlier in the morning and try and do it at that time. Now, if you could moonbathe during that creator's hour, that would be very powerful. Very, very powerful. Okay. Or do you want to keep going on the moonbathing? I know you had a couple more things on that. And I love this idea. I wish it was like a hot spring with a sauna and the moon would be, somebody needs to create a spa. That's that.
Right? Yeah. So I had something to add to what you said and I totally blanked on it. But anyways, back to
you're talking the one thing that I think
the morning time. That's what just Ayurveda says the same thing. It's like before 6 a.m. basically is like that's you time. That's time to dive in, like, journal, read spiritual books,
yoga,
like, do all of those things, yoga, that's when you need to be looking inward. Like, don't be picking up this thing and looking at that. Instead, just like go in, leave the phone on the charger or wherever it is.
No electronics for manifestation. Absolutely not.
And then go like focus on you. And I guarantee you, if you do this for like 30 days, you're going to notice a huge difference. Morning routine is just like a huge part of what I do with clients because, again, everybody says, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. Well, you do. You're just choosing to stay up until midnight watching some TV show instead of going to bed at a decent hour. So then you could actually get up earlier in the morning and take care of yourself. And so it's like you have to take an honest inventory of like what's important in my life. What do I want to keep doing the same thing over and over again? Or do I actually want things to change and be like, get to where I want to go, right? Like get to where my soul keeps telling me I deserve to be. Like you're making those choices. Like, it's not like, oh, God hates me in the universe. No, you're doing it to yourself, consciously or unconsciously. Like, but the more you slow down and the more you take that time, you'll start to see what you're doing unconsciously and can start fixing that also.
Prioritize your pleasure because if you can, you're manifesting at the same times, and it's also a meditation. So you can come up with so many different answers to your problems. Like a lot of times it's stress. There's so many excuses that I hear of why women, they don't have time to self-pleasure. And it's like, well, think about it, as a society, we call it jerking off. I mean, there's no positive really terminology for it. So you're from a young age have this mindset that it's a waste of time. But if you can solve problems, manifest a better life, more abundance at the same time, it's actually the best use of your time. In my intuitive studies with the universe, they've had me prioritize that since day one of my healing after my spiritual awakening. And it took a long time for me to be like, really? Okay, this is the best thing to do right now. And every time after I do it, and I'm like, oh, that did. I thought I solved this. I feel much more emotionally balanced, that then I can show up for the rest of the work that I actually have to do. But so again, if you grab that phone first thing, you're like inviting the stress in, because you're going to see something on there that's going to stress you out, or you feel the immediate need to get back to, and that's serving somebody else. So I like to, again, with the morning routine, set that up for myself and carve out my day so that the first half is for me and the second half is when I give and serve other people. And then that way you check yourself off the list first, because if you try and make that the last thing, chances are it's not going to get done. And then at some point you're going to burn out and you're going to be drained, and you're trying to give
pouring from
an empty cup, and it's not going to happen. You're going to be a raging bitch.
I just learned some saying, it was like pour from your saucer. So like a teacup always has a saucer. So fill your cup up so much that it's overflowing, and then give from the saucer, because then you'll never be burnt out. You're still always giving, like you're not being selfish or anything. You're just like managing your energy and having boundaries around things that like need to be that way. And you're not so stressed because you actually took time for yourself and like figured out what's like, going on.
Yeah. And the giving, that's a key that I'm going to get to that isn't talked about a lot in manifestation, but that is like the secret ingredient is gratitude, and also giving to balance your karma. Because if your karma isn't balanced, you might get that car that you want or that item, but it's going to come at a cost, and that the universe will take something else away from you. So something else will break, because there always has to be a balance of give and take. But if you're constantly every single day making it a priority to give to charity, to give to others, then your karma will remain balanced. And that's the key thing to being able to manifest true abundance and really see some magic happen from the universe. Because that's the past year of my life. I'll show you my vision board and how it came to life with that.
So I think maybe we can dive into like the process of the, manifesting and what we do at that point for the different things.
Okay. Awesome. So, I'll walk you through my process. I think everybody can create their own ritual and process that works for them, but this is what I've found to be tried and true for me. So the first thing that's so important is a gratitude practice. And even when you're not manifesting, try and do this every day. Every morning, literally the first thing I do before I even get out of bed is just think of 10 things that I'm grateful for, 10 blessings. Sometimes I write them down. I just started a practice on Facebook where I'm writing it down to share it with people, because I know when I first started my gratitude practice, I thought it was a simple thing, but sometimes it's not. Like you keep thinking of the same things over and over. So I thought sometimes you can help, inspire people to think outside the box a little bit. So thinking about being grateful for, healing for somebody else, grateful for things that are beyond the material, relationships and, business opportunities, things that are not tangible are also important, because the more grateful you are for something, the more of it you will receive. So writing it down, also there's power in writing, and that's not typing, but physically writing. And, it makes you pause in that gratitude energy as well. So that makes it more powerful. So this will be my first thing in the morning. If you don't have time to write it down, no problem. Then on the full moon, I always do a vision board. I'm going to share it. So I got a little old fashioned. You can do it on Pinterest. This one I did in, is this the one? This is not the one I want to share. This one I did in August, and I had on here this Gucci bag, and then look what manifested literally a month later. And that was not in my budget at that moment. And so looking at how things manifest, the universe, you have to watch out for the opportunity, right? So basically they just showed it to me at this really discounted price, but it like happened very quickly, but it happened at that creator's hour. I get a lot. This is kind of nuts, but there's a lot of shopping tips that come through in that hour, because you're just really able to receive. There's not a lot of energy interference. So if I say don't pick up your phone, but after you've done your gratitude practice, if something's calling you to do that, that might be the time when you can snap up that Gucci at a steal. I manifested already half of this board. So the Chanel came, the perfume came, a podcast I'm in the process. So anything that's on here that did not pop through was only because of me being a little slow. But like I said, this was at the end of August. And that was a powerful time too, something called Lionsgate, which we don't have to get into now, but that's really the most powerful time of the year. But like this bag, like that happened like that. And that for me was like, I was like, oh, I see. Because I wasn't doing the vision boards before then. I was just writing it, you know, like a wish list, basically. I would do my gratitude list and then a wish list. But having the vision board is so much more powerful. And that's because visualization is key. So as I said before, orgasm is your absolute highest vibration. That's what you want. You know, dancing is the next best thing. So if you can't get that orgasm in, dance. Just, you know, put on a great playlist and start dancing, and then sit down and write your list, your gratitude, and then write down, you know, what do you want? Whether it's you make it in a vision board or you're just listing it out by, you know, relationships, material items, abundance, business, career, manifesting your destiny versus your fate. This is something that I talk a lot about with clients, is that fate, people mix up these words a lot, but fate is basically like you could be living the last life. It's living a rerun. Nobody wants that. It means we didn't make enough changes to really get a different path. You really want to manifest your destiny, which is your highest path. That's your soul's ultimate happiness and ultimate fulfillment, but also fulfillment of your potential. And I do spiritual readings to help people identify what they should be manifesting. What is my destiny? I know mine, so that makes it really easy. The universe has helped me to visualize it. So you do your gratitude, your vision board. Then ideally, if you can have your self-pleasure practice at orgasm, you want to visualize what it is you want. And around the full moon, like do it on the full moon. The days surrounding it are also really powerful. So say you want love, right? You want to manifest the one. You want to visualize, harness that climax energy. And that's an easy one to do then, right? But like visualize, what does it feel like to be with that person? What does it look like? What does your house look like? Where are you? Are you on vacation? Did you just get home from work? What was your work like? And just visualizing, like embodying that energy of exactly how you want your life to be then. And that's difficult. It's hard, but you know, finding like an archetype of the person, but you can also, you can visualize your bank account. You can visualize a certain amount of money in there. I've done that before, and then it pops in. And that's, sometimes I think that's a little bit manifestation, but a little bit also the universe cluing me into what's to come. But so really, I encourage you to harness that power of that climax energy, and maybe make it, you know, do 4 days around the full moon, do something different every time. You know, a lot of times when we want big life change, you know, that's where, you know, where I was at, and I wanted I'm like, everything needs to be different. Where do you focus, you know, and really prioritizing, and pick your top 3 things and switch off visualizing those. You know, if it's, you know, you want to, you know, for me, I do a lot of charity work. So I need to visualize money coming in, because that's how I'm going to do the charity work. So a lot of times we're taught that that's selfish. It's not. It's okay to manifest that. You'd want to manifest abundance, but it's, what are you going to do with it? And always, when you have that intention to also give, the universe wants to help you out as much as they can, because the universe is abundant. There's plenty to go around for everybody, but you know, as long as you're giving, because when you're not giving, they will take. So that's why it's so important to balance your karma. Like, when you're not giving, that's when the washing machine breaks, you know, and they will keep that stuff working for you forever, as long as your intention is to give, or they'll break it at a time where it's a little more convenient. But if you notice those times when all the shit goes wrong, check in with your karma and check in. Have I been giving lately? Have I only been giving to myself? And if you haven't been giving to others, I encourage you to do so, because that will help balance it out and kind of stop that horrible flood.
Yeah. And just to add to your like visualizing thing, and how you were like, you know, you have to also visualize like what you're going to do when you get there. I think that's like one of the biggest pieces that a lot of people miss, is like they just constantly, like, I know I did this for a long time, was like, well, this is, you know, I want X, I want this, and like you're just constantly like, I am this, and like
Yeah.
it in, but you're never like visualizing like who is that person once you have that? Like what is she doing? Why is like all of those things? So I feel like really embodying and feeling those, like you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
is really key, because the universe, like you said, is abundant and really wants to give, but you can't just say, well, I want to be a millionaire. Well, that's great that you want to be a millionaire and you're visualizing being a millionaire, but you're what are like the universe wants to know, are you going to be like a shitty millionaire and like selfish, or are you going to be like really cool and
Right.
good and like wise about it? So I think that's like one of the big aspects people misses is like, well, what
Everybody wants to be. Who doesn't want to be a millionaire? But it's
But it's like, what do
why.
you, yeah, it's the whys. And like,
Yeah.
how are you going to make life, the world better by that happening?
And I think so. Another important thing is purifying your body and to not be drinking alcohol or any other naughty things when you're trying to manifest. I live a pure lifestyle all the time. I love to recommend that to people. It's the best thing that I ever did. It's not for, not everybody's ready for that. You can manifest anyway, but I do encourage you to not drink, because that does let in that impure energy. And I don't have specific experience with this, but I would believe that you be able to manifest something that maybe isn't exactly what you want, or it's going to come in with some type of a cost. Because manifestation is very powerful. So you want to hold it, it's sacred. It's sacred that time in that manifestation. But a lot of times I get questions from clients, and this happens to me too, where what should I be manifesting? And I ask the universe that, because sometimes you need one thing before you can get the other thing. And you don't always know how that's going to come in, but they do. So spiritual readings are a great option for that, to say, what should I be manifesting right now? What's going to make my soul happiest? Because especially like January is the bluest month. Like I get depression, and there's one of the best ways to combat that is orgasm. It does activate all 4 happiness hormones. So another great reason. Also gives you 10 types of collagen. I will sing its praises all day. And you don't need somebody else to do it for you. But so like depression is one of the things that can get in the way of manifestation. So I think it, also can be manifesting help with that, and then be open. Once you're manifesting, you need to be open to watching the answers come in, and the universe will show them to you in, a million different ways. But sometimes the hints are subtle, and they're not always it's not as simple as $1 million showing up at your doorstep, but they will answer. And so usually you're going to see those answers, within the next month.
Well,
if you're manifesting $1 million, it might take longer, but don't lose sight of that goal. If it doesn't show up in a month, keep going on it, because
and also like not getting stuck on the how.
Yes,
I think
so
it's
important.
like I am like, that's like I'm always like, well, this is how it's gonna happen.
Sometimes I ask how.
like
Sometimes I ask how is that money going to come in? And I'll get an answer, and it's like, okay. And then it's more like, how do I prioritize what I'm focusing on to get what I'm looking for? And that's, I think, something too, to like, where am I focusing my energy? Where your focus flows, the energy comes through. So if you're focusing on your career, that's where you're going to see result. But if you really want love, that's what for me, that's what I want. And so I always have that as number one. Sorry, that's my door. Something I manifested, some present. But like in other ways, like there's magic checks show up in the mail. When you give a lot, you will receive from that. And I've been giving, I did some pop-up last week, and then this unexpected check came in the mail. It was from like some weird, the class action lawsuit, but like I literally came out of nowhere. And so that's why don't worry about the how, because you probably can't figure out how.
Yeah. No, I like started letting go of the how in the last like couple weeks, because like this is
Hold on 1 second. Sorry. I'm sorry. You keep going, Rebecca.
Okay. But yeah, like not focusing on the how, because like for instance, like I've always been a how planner, like, okay, step 1, 2, 3, and that's how we're gonna get there. And in the last couple of weeks, I've really let go of that and been doing a lot of like embodiment practices and a lot of just like journaling and visualizing everything that Laura has been talking about. And as soon as I let go of the how, like odd things just keep happening. That it's like, this person owes me a bunch of money, and I've kind of just been like, well, if it shows up, it shows up. And like, I've never looked at it as like a part of my income. But now it's like focusing on like being financially stable and stuff like that. It's like things are showing up where you're like, I didn't expect it to be that way. But that's cool. And being like grateful, because it's like, maybe I want it to show up, like I want to be successful in my business and that's how I want it to happen. It's like, yeah, but it could happen it doesn't have to happen that way.
Being specific, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
But being specific, but open to however the universe wants it to show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Being open. And I think that vibration is really key. So being in a really good, positive mindset and not being like, I don't know if this can happen. Because if you have any little doubts, it'll push it away. You want to envision it like it's already there. Like the money's in the account, like you've got that watch, you've got, that ocean view or whatever it is. And I think it's important to have long range manifestation goals and short range. So you don't want to like sell yourself short. So if you want to be on a private jet one day, don't think that because maybe now you make $25,000 a year that you can't be, because you can be, but you have to have that goal with also some other goals along the way. But don't lose sight of that one, because that's, I think, that's where you get stuck into your fated life, is not thinking that you can do something, not thinking that you can be, a singer or famous, whatever. Like that's, people that have a dream and stay focused on it, they realize that dream, but they have to do the work. And I think that's the thing too, is manifesting it. Some stuff will be gifted and other things that just show you how to get it, but you have to do the work. So being ready and open to doing that work.
Yeah. It's not going to come to you on a silver platter.
If you're giving a lot, sometimes it does though. I will say, if you want to get the silver platters.
Yeah. Some stuff will show up that way, but definitely like there's still the work to be done. And I think that kind of ties into like the New Year's resolutions. It's like, people make a resolution on the 31st of December. They started on the 1st. Well, today's like typically the day where they're not doing it anymore. Basically, that's just like, 10 days and they're already like, yeah, this isn't for me. And manifestations like the same way, like you try, you do it, you do the visualization and the journaling and stuff for, let's say 10 days, 2 weeks, and like, well, I'm not a millionaire yet, or I don't have a yacht yet, or whatever it is. And it's like, you stop. Well, that's the difference between somebody that gets what they want and somebody that doesn't, is that person that got what they wanted didn't stop after 10 days. Like they kept going. If it was a month, 6 months, a year, like they kept going. Yeah.
I think the universe tests you a lot of times with a lot of failure before they bring you the really big stuff. And to see, like, is that really what you want? Because I think a lot of times too, we can think we want something and then it comes and we're like, oh, I don't know if that's really what I wanted. The grass is always greener type of a thing. And so, but that's okay. You move on and you manifest something different. But I think that a lot of times, like, they know what will be serving your highest good. And so it's important to check in with the universe on that. And when you're manifesting, but also before, ask and wait to receive those answers, or get a spiritual reading so that they can tell you, what should you be manifesting? What is going to make you the happiest? Because sometimes we don't know. Or we think it's one thing and it's honestly another. Like, is it that purse? That was fun that happened. Did that make me like really happy? Yeah, it does on a day-to-day basis, but it's not, the end all be all. And I think that was also, the universe knew that this live was coming up and they wanted me to have a really good, tangible example of that. But I did that. I was like, okay, I tell you what, it sold me on the old-fashioned vision board versus just writing it down, because it helps me visualize it. I keep it somewhere I can see it all the time. It's harder when you're trying to manifest something like a new friendship, but thinking of like, is there somebody on TV, or is there somebody that like has that relationship that looks, at least it looks good from the outside, that you want, and kind of envisioning that. I think that's when it gets harder, but it's important. There's, I forget who they are that I follow. They do this thing I heard recommended. It's called a mind movie, and where you literally every morning wake up and play out your perfect life.
I've seen this too.
It's hard. This is a hard one, but it's something, this is a good way, I think, I think it's a good technique, especially for things like relationships. For the tangible material items, I think the vision board is really good. And I find that if you're following your intuition too, as you're making it, like whether you're looking through magazines or newspapers, the universe kind of guides you to stuff that should be on there.
Yeah.
So the one other thing I wanted to talk about is when you are kind of down and you do want to manifest, how do you get your vibration up? And orgasm, I'll sing its praises till the day I die. But dancing is another way. Getting yourself in the mood is important. And I think something, it's January, there's a lot of depression going, there's a lot of interference from cell phones. And so setting aside that self-love time is really, really important. And to put on a great playlist, put on some sexy lingerie, take some sacred selfies, take some selfies and like feel good about yourself. And that's another thing. If you're trying to manifest something that's body specific, maybe you're like, I don't like my stomach or my ass looks too flat. Don't ever say that to yourself in the mirror. Look at it and envision your perfect ass. Envision that and just say, thank you for healing and just keep it moving. But then if you give your negative energy to your body, like it's not going to thank you. So that's a really important one, especially for women. We are the worst at this, or looking and, doing these things, and don't do that. Just look at it and envision it being perfect. And you'll get there. They'll show you how to get there. And when in doubt, again, orgasm, get those 10 types of collagen. It will help every body part. Oh, and I have a playlist. I think did I put that one? I'll put that in the chat for getting in the mood. Music is so healing. I always say, music touches the places that pills can't heal. So if you're on an antidepressant, that's fine. That's great. That will tend to lower your libido, which is not ideal for anybody in any scenario. So I encourage you to have a self-love practice, dance, do some things like that can help raise your vibration without putting some toxins in your body. But again, if you need
limits your ability to connect to your, your intuition.
Right, yeah.
Be more spiritually guided in your life instead of just like a robot following a plan that society told you to follow.
Yeah, it will definitely cut off your connection to your third eye.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
And then also on the sound thing is if you have a local yoga studio or spiritual shop that does sound healing events, that is another great way to get a lot of energy cleared out. A lot of times each of the bowls are tuned to specific chakras. And if the sound healer is experienced enough and you can set up, private sessions with them, they'll know what bowls to use. I have a girlfriend in town that uses tuning forks and bowls and all sorts of different stuff, and really taps into that, similar to you, can tap into the person's energy and be they're holding it here, they're holding it here.
We can do that during readings. I can find out where chakras are out of balance. And sound healing, it's my number one. Well, my number two, orgasm is the number one. That's going to clear your sacral. But the energy healing, there's some great ones on YouTube. Also, Meditative Mind is a good one. I try and put that on all the time when I'm working. If I wasn't able to have my self-pleasure practice in the morning, if I have a sacral chakra sound healing on in the background, it really helps with focus. I have ADHD, so I use that to heal that. So if I didn't get that, I can use that instead. You can clear the energy of your home, but it's really an indispensable resource. Don't sleep on sound healing. Does anybody have any questions? Hi, Ashley. Thank you for joining. Do you have anything else? Go ahead.
I don't think so.
Does anybody have any specific things they want to manifest? They want some tips on? More cash. We talked about that. Better skin and beauty, better mental health. A new career, anybody looking to change careers or find, the other thing you can work on manifesting too is where can you give more, and let the universe show you some options that'll speak to your soul, because the best thing about giving is that you, as the giver, also get oxytocin from that. So you're healing the person that's receiving, but you also get healed as well. So, but I think it varies for all of us in terms of where do we feel the best giving. Like, I like that human connection. Some people love just giving money, so that makes them feel good. It doesn't always have to be monetary, it doesn't have to be things. It could also be giving love, giving hugs, saying hi to a stranger on the street goes a really long way for you and for them. So those are just some tips. But again,
I think people always think that it's like related to money, where like you can, donate your time. You can, like you said, say hi to somebody, chit chat with somebody, there's definitely like some people at the gym I go to that they're older, and it's like the only interactions they're getting throughout the day are the people at the gym. So it's like, yeah, I'll stop and talk to you for 10 minutes and chit chat, because that's probably the only time they're going to interact with somebody all day. So it's like, you don't realize the difference that you're making in other people's lives. Sometimes you think, oh, I'm just being annoying, and like they probably have somewhere to be. It's like, if they have somewhere to be, they'll tell you like, hey, I gotta go, sorry. So don't feel like you're like getting in there, blocking their time or something.
Yeah, I lived alone in a very lonely shore town, and I had to get out and try and search for somebody to say hi to, but like they felt the same way. But I felt instant change in my energy and my happiness when I was able to have that connection. And I know other people do too. I know I have a couple of neighbors now that are alone and lonely. Like, we get lonely, and so just sometimes those couple minutes where like maybe you had something else somewhere you wanted to be too, but if you take that time, it's so meaningful. And I think we're all so connected to our phones these days that we forget to have that human interaction, and it's really so important. And it's, you're doing something for them, and that karma comes right back around to you. I have the one neighbor that I help all the time. He helped me move some stuff today. So like, there's always, ideally every relationship is equal give and take. And so when you're giving, you'll be receiving as well.
Yep.
The more you give, the more the universe can bring to you.
Yeah, like I saw something the other day. It's like, you're not like losing. This was like talking about money, where it was like, you spend money and then you think you don't have any. It's like, no, you're just making space for more
money
here. And it's just because you spent $5 doesn't mean $5 is going to appear back. It could be 100. It could be 2,000. Like, it's not, right. You have to give to receive. Like, it's a constant, right? Like, we have to in and out in order to live. So you're bringing new energy in and letting old energy out. It's the same thing with your love, your time, your money, like all aspects of giving.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that is a really important note, because a lot of people think that I don't have, or I already give to this. And it's like, the universe is abundant, and you are abundant as long as you maintain that abundance mindset. That's really key in manifestation, is to know that you have enough. Because if you're scared, or you feel like a mindset of lack, like, I need this money in my account, I only have $5 and I'm freaking out, like, then it's going to be hard for them to bring you more. But if you just envision that account looking at 5,000, 500,000, whatever it is, then there's no stress, because stress will be a blocker. Like, that's another thing that will block your manifestations from coming in. But, that's a lot of pushback I get from people about giving, is that, I already gave to this, or I don't have that. And it's like, the more you give, the more you receive. You will never find yourself in, I gave too much. The universe will find some way, like a magic check, like I mentioned earlier, to bring it back to you. Like, it literally is without fail, unless you owe karmically. And then that's, again, another thing to get a reading about how to balance that. Is if you find yourself having a lot of things breaking or losing a lot of things, it's just the universe taking. They're taking back because you weren't giving enough.
Yep.
So yeah. I think excited. Everybody get your vision boards ready. You got a couple days to the full moon on Monday. This is a wolf full moon, so I wish we could get out moon bathing. I really am excited to try that when it gets warmer.
Yeah. Yep. Once it's warmer out, and I guess if you have like a hot tub or something, you could definitely do it. But I don't recommend going out and freezing in the snow.
No.
Just for your physical health.
Unless you have the hot tub.
Yeah.
I guess the opposite of a cold plunge.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you guys for joining us. Oh, hey, Mara. Thanks. Any questions about manifestation before we jump off? Thank you for jumping in at the tail end. I wish everybody lots of luck. If you have any questions, reach out to Rebecca or I, and we'll be happy to help you with your process. And if you have any great successes, please let us know that too. We would love to hear.
Yeah. Alrighty. See ya.
Bye.